morning and welcome back to Coffee with a Kick. I'm Xander, that's Keegan, and we are here for match day 27. Full slate of games this weekend, most of them bunched up on Saturday because we do, next week, have some Champions League action. So looking forward to that, but this episode's about the Premier League in match day 27. We will go ahead and just get right in it. All right. Starting off with, well, there's a lot at 10 a.m., but we'll start with Brentford and Chelsea. Brentford hosting Chelsea at 10 a.m. at G-Tech Community Stadium. I think that Chelsea will be coming in kind of fresh. They still had a match last weekend, which they did not do. They did lose to Liverpool, but Brentford's also not a side to be feared at the moment. They are on? They are on a 3-game losing streak, just having lost to West Ham 4-2, a rejuvenated looking West Ham. I've got this one is pretty straightforward for Chelsea, a little bit of a step up from where they had been recently. 1-3 is what I have for Chelsea. Yeah.
We almost have the same score. I don't think Chelsea can score 3. I think it'll be 2-1. I do think Brentford gets an early first goal, and Chelsea brings it back and wins 2-1. But yeah, I can't see Brentford breaking their streak this week.
The Bees are lacking the sting right now. They just are not coming at it. Next one up, one that I'm sure I will get right with my combined record for Everton and West Ham being just a smidge above abysmal. That is, as I said, Everton hosting West Ham at Goodison Park in Liverpool. How do you think either of these teams win?
West Ham did pretty well. If any team's going to win, it's going to be West Ham. I don't think either team wins. I'm going to go 1-1 draw.
Yes. I don't have confidence in either, but you're right that Everton's not going to win this one, even though they're at home. I mean, they are struggling recently, and West Ham. If West Ham can play against a similarly skilled side, Brentford, as opposed to Everton, then I think they get a similar net result. I've got it as a 2-0 victory for West Ham. I just don't trust Everton to do particularly well in this one, being all the way down in 15th. I mean, they're still in the danger zone, so they gotta be careful, Everton. But I don't think. I'm just trying to get a West Ham pick right. I don't want to get back on a 10-game losing streak. I missed last week. I'm trying to do this one all right. That takes us to our boy Flint 21's Fulham squad. Fulham hosting Brighton Hove Albion at the Craven Cottage there in good old London town. I think that Fulham has been playing pretty well recently. They beat Bournemouth, lost to Aston Villa. Aston Villa's a good side, and then beating our trap game last week, Manchester United 2-1. I think that they put up a good fight against Brighton, who is, really up and down since the end of the year. They've been really up and down. You score 4, you score 1, you score 5, you score 1. I think they pick it back up, but it's still a 2-2 draw, which I think both sides will be fine with. Fulham, I think they're safe. Like we were talking about in the last episode, if you're hitting 30 points this season, at this point in the season, I think you can call yourself safe because I don't see any of the teams below you catching up to you to a degree that, all of them catching up to you, essentially. Not essentially, literally. All of them will have to catch up to and pass you. At 32, I think Fulham's good, and they'll just look to build on some of the momentum they've had recently.
In the last 5 meetings, head-to-head between these teams, Brighton has never won a match.
Really?
I think Fulham gets a red card. I have that tingly feeling of the red cardness. I think Fulham gets an early-ish red, and I think Brighton wins 3-0.
Wow. They have made a resurgence here recently, the red cards. We had a lot of them, a lot for dissent there early in the season, that second yellow. But they've come back for straight up fouls here in the past couple of weeks. So yeah, I mean, that'll happen. Early red card, Brighton. We'll see if the boys there, Matoma and all of them.
I just have the feeling if they don't get a red card, I'm going 1-1. But they're going to get a red card.
I'll put it. No, I'm not going to put it in parentheses. You got it locked in at 3-0. Brighton Hove Albion winning that one sole. Then to Newcastle, St. James's Park, hosting my Wolves, also at 10 a.m. How many do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 matches, 10 a.m. on Saturday. A lot of simulcasting going on. But I think my Wolves go into St. James's Park and get a point. A very respectable point. 1-1 between Newcastle and Wolves. I have not seen whether or not we'll have Cunha back. That might change me a little bit. But this is, we're above Newcastle all of a sudden on the table. We're at 38, they're at 37. But going into St. James's Park and getting a point is nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, Cunha, it looks like he'll be out till the end of March.
That's too bad. Yeah, one would I feel good about then.
And then you just look through the list. Well, Newcastle only has 5 starters now out. Only 5.
Hey, that's an improvement.
It's a dry step up from when they had 11.
Yeah.
Like first team players out. Their top 2 goal scorers still out. They do have Isak back. He's, I think, their 3rd goal scorer. Wolves are on a hot streak. I think I'm going to go 2-1 Wolves. It's hard to pick against Wolves right now. And I think they'll have the resolve to keep 9th place.
And maybe even move up. We can move up depending on how everybody else does. But listen, I'll take a 2-1 victory, obviously, because it's a victory. Then to one that I don't think will go well for one of the sides. We got Nottingham Forest at the City Ground hosting a rip-roaring Liverpool. How bad do you think it gets here for Nottingham?
I'm going to go out on a limb here.
Oh, boy. Hold on. Before you do that, come on.
I'm going to go 1-1 draw. Liverpool's coming off the high of an FA or Carabao Cup victory.
Yes.
Their starters really didn't play. And so I think that they're going to be a little bit, maybe not rusty, but they now have Alisson out. They have Diogo Jota is now out.
Oh.
Salah is now out. So look at their team. They look like Newcastle. They have at 1.7 of their starters out with injury. So I don't know. I think Nottingham at home could hold them to just 1 point. Nottingham won't win, but they can hold them to a point.
Well, I, for one, am not in league with machinations. I've got this as a 4-0 victory for Liverpool over Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest is in a tough position. I mean, they're in 17th on a negative 14 goal difference. And I don't see a reason why they'd be able to stop Nottingham Forest from the stop Liverpool from the Nottingham Forest side. I understand that Liverpool is missing some people, but I don't know what Nottingham Forest has to stop them anyways. So I think Liverpool keeps on rolling, stays top of the table. And you know one of the weird things about the table this year is that Manchester City doesn't have the highest goal difference. That's the weird thing, because you've won a lot of nasty 1-0s, 2-1s, things like that. Sitting only at 33 currently, whereas Arsenal, Liverpool have been benefited by 2024 and a lot of their running up of the score, but they are sitting at 38 and 39 for Liverpool and Arsenal respectively. That's neither here nor there at the moment, because we are on to Tottenham hosting Crystal Palace, a London derby. Don't know what they call this one, but it is one of them. It's one of them. I think this one's boring. That's my analysis. I think this one's boring. I think Spurs win it 1-0 because I believe that Crystal Palace still has one of their strikers out. And I just haven't been impressed with Tottenham recently. They've been a little lackluster, I felt like.
Yeah, I think that if there's a team you want to be playing when you're lackluster, it's Crystal Palace.
Fair.
because they only have defense and that's it. I think they escape 2-0 victory. This kind of feels like it could be a trap game, kind of like Fulham Man U. You just never know what Crystal Palace is going to do, especially with the managerial change. But I don't know. It's hard to not pick Tottenham. I think they get it done.
Crystal could carry some momentum after their strange 3-0 victory over Burnley. But yeah, I just don't have the confidence in those birdos. I'm sure no one has ever called them that, but I did. They're both birdos. It's a bird battle in this one. Roosters versus Eagles. Anyway, is that a rooster? I think it is, right? Yeah, it's a chicken.
I couldn't tell you.
I think it's a chicken. All right, to Kenilworth Road. Luton Town hosts Aston Villa at 12:30. This is the one we get on television, terrestrial television on USA Network at 12:30 on Saturday. How do you have Luton? You have Luton getting any points out of this? They really need them.
I don't. I think Aston Villa beats them 3-1. I think Adebayo gets a goal for Luton since he seems to always get goals for Luton. But I don't know. Aston Villa's playing far too well to go to Kenilworth Road and lose.
See, now we had that reaction a few weeks ago when Aston Villa played at Newcastle. And they ended up getting a 4-4 draw on that one. So in this one, I've got it as a 3-3 draw at Kenilworth Road against Aston Villa. No particular reason for this. It'd be funny. I think it would be funny, and that is my reasoning for it. Because they're probably going to lose pretty badly. But, it could happen. It's happened recently. Then that wraps up our Saturday fixtures, going to Sunday, 8 a.m. on Sunday morning, Eastern time. All times are Eastern Standard, okay, by the way. Burnley hosts Bournemouth at Turf Moor. Both these teams, not good, is the long and short of it. Bournemouth a little bit better. But I think Burnley comes up and gets a point, actually. I think this is a 1-1 kind of snoozy affair, as Burnley matches tend to be. But Bournemouth is not impressing of late. Oh boy, how far does... I mean, it's not as bad as Everton, I know, but how far back does their winless streak go here? Let's take a quick gander at Bournemouth. It goes back all the way to match week 18, December 26th was their last victory. So the feeling of poor Bournemouth is earned. How do you think that? Do you think that Bournemouth can escape Turf Moor with a full 3 and I think probably if they win this one, I think it does secure Premier League action for them next year if they can win this.
I think there's going to be drama in this one. I think Burnley's going to take it 3-1.
Whoa.
They know they have to win. It's an opponent they can beat who hasn't won in over 2 months. So I just think Burnley, they know they got to get it done.
They do.
I think they pull it together for this game. Will they do it again? I don't know, but I think they start the momentum train to potentially staying up right here.
They have a long road to hoe if they're going to try to stay up. But if you're going to move, you got to start moving, I think is the long and short of it there for Burnley. And they've left it pretty late to start. Then to the headline of the weekend, obviously, the Manchester Derby. Manchester City hosts Manchester United at 10:30 Eastern Time at the Etihad Stadium. Only on Peacock, though, oddly enough. That is weird. But still, it is the Manchester Derby. Do you think your boys in blue can pull this one out?
I do. I think it's going to be tough given the injuries that Man U have. Højlund is injured.
Ooh, that's big.
Martinez is still out. Luke Shaw is still out. Harry Maguire got hurt.
Oh, well, now they're sunk.
He's out. I mean, he is their rock. So he's out. Mason Mount's out. I mean, they have other players, obviously, but with City being full force, we're only missing Jack Grealish. Everyone else is healthy. especially after our 6-2 FA Cup win. I think De Bruyne and Haaland are feeling pretty connected now after that. So I think it'll end up being 4-1, and I don't think it'll feel like a 4-1 blowout. I think it'll be like a slow and steady 4-1, but we've lost it before, but it's hard to imagine Man U going into the Etihad and beating City.
Yeah, one of the fun strangulation Manchester City games, unlike they've done recently where they've just barely eked out 1-0 victories. I have it more along the lines of the slow but steady ones. It's a 2-1 is how I have it for this fixture. I think City still wins it because City's better than Manchester United, to put it frankly. And hearing that Højlund's out is definitely making me feel better about my pick. They still got Garnacho, so, he's been doing very well this season.
You never know.
You never know. He could pull off another bicycle upper nine like he did earlier this season. But I don't think he pulls off more than one. So that's why I've got it as 2-1 for Manchester City to keep pace, in my estimation, with Liverpool. In your case, they'd go back top of the table, but like I said, machinations. Then to Monday, we've got a real rip-roarer here. To bring back a previously used phrase, a barn burner. Sheffield United takes on Arsenal at Bramall Lane at 3 p.m. Eastern Time on Monday afternoon. Do you think Arsenal puts in 5?
The reverse fixture at the Emirates, it was 5-0. This one, I think, will be just as bad.
Really?
I think it'll be 5-0. I mean, Sheffield's not playing well. Arsenal, I think that they understand. It's hard because they lost in the Champions League.
Yeah.
They might have one foot already in that game, wanting to kind of look ahead a week, but Sheffield's just so darn bad that it's really hard to think that Arsenal's B team couldn't come in and beat them 5-0. So I'm going 5-0. I think this one essentially puts the nail in the coffin for Sheffield's championship reality.
I mean, to be fair, they've already lost 5-0 twice in February. They had lost twice in February, 5-0 against Aston Villa and Brighton at Bramall Lane, as no less. So losing 5-0 at home is not unheard of, and Arsenal has recently won 5-0 or even 6-0. So I would not put it past them. I only have it as I have a modest 2-0 victory is what I have for Arsenal. A nice, modest, calm, classy 2-0 victory for Arsenal to keep pace with all the other top of the table teams. But that's just goes to show that it's Arsenal's good and Sheffield is bad is the long and the short of it. And I think that is the way that it will go this weekend. That is the week that will be match day 27. But before we go, we have to resolve the trivia question from our previous episode, which, if I recall, who was it? Was it something about Fulham?
What were the only other 2 times Fulham has won at Old Trafford?
That's right. In honor of Trap Game. What are the only other 2 times that they've won at Old Trafford? My guess would be during the Clint Dempsey era, because that's the only other era that I could name with any sort of clarity. But but from that, I think it's wrong. But that's the only guess I really have.
I couldn't even tell you when he was on Fulham, but
it was in the late noughties, I believe. While you tell us, I'll pull it up.
Well, it wasn't. He was on Fulham from 07 to 12. So the last time that they won at Old Trafford was 2003. Before that, the only other time they had won at Old Trafford was 1963.
Wow. So pre-Premier League by several decades.
Yeah.
Wow, so they had only won at Old Trafford from 1962, 2003, and then 2024. So Fulham fans...
So 40 years in between the first and the second, 20 years in between. So now just in 10 years, predict a Fulham win at Old Trafford.
Yeah, it's
Lock
like
it in.
It's like a Fibonacci sequence. So, no, not Fibonacci sequence, but it's like, each time it's getting shorter by half. So 10 years from now, 2034, expect your next victory at Old Trafford, Fulham. Hopefully everybody's still where they are as far as being in the Premier League. That'd be hilarious, though. What if they both... This would never happen because Manchester United falling out of the Premier League seems impossible. So I'm just not even going to finish that sentence. Your mind can wander and race with what I was speculating, but I will not state it outright because it's farcical, to be honest.
By that point, it'll probably be Wrexham who is winning the Premier League.
That's probably
along
true.
With Salford City. So we can you never know who's going to be up.
It could very well be. A lot changes in 10 years. A lot changes in 10 years. I say that, but 10 years ago, City won, I think. Did they win in 14?
Oh, yeah.
That was the year, right? No. Earlier than that.
2012
Whatever.
and 2014.
2012 was that first one, yeah. Anyways. Oh, shoot, where'd it go? Okay, yes. Anyways, that brings us to the end of this episode. We'll be back after this match day is over on Tuesday. And until then, why don't you go ahead and grab some coffee, watch some soccer, and we'll see you on the other side. Adi.